Are you trading yet? It's time to get in the game.
Good morning, whatever time it is. I'm Orlando. I'll be talking about the road to financial freedom. It's a multi-class little process. This first class is more of an introductory class and more of how to get started, more of a savings, so that way you can have money to actually invest in without having to dig into that. Let's go to the next slide. First thing you want to do is get your budget in order. And in order to do that, you want to look at your previous bank statements and kind of write everything down and see exactly where you're spending money at. So when you do that, it breaks it down so you can see exactly where your issue is coming at. For me, like for example, when I did that, I had a lot of things going towards fast food and Walmart. That was a big chunk of my change going, and I know a lot of people could be Amazon, because that's been a real big thing lately for me and my wife. Amazon is taking up a lot of cash. So you write down everything that you previously did the last 2 months, and you kind of see where your money is going to, so that way when your new budget comes, you can redistribute it appropriately. So the next one. All right, so when you get your budget down, you want to write down how much you made or how much you make in a month. And if you don't know that exactly, you can look at, if you get paid bi-weekly, your last 2 paychecks, for an example, or if you weekly, your last 4 paychecks. You want to add those all the way up. And when you add those up, you can put that on one side of the paper. And on the other side, you want to put out all your bills and expenses. So that'd be like your mortgage, that'd be your tithes, that'd be gas, food, JEA. And when you do that, when you put in your budget, you want to put enough for your savings as well. You want to save soon as you get your money. You don't want to spend your check and then say, I'll save whatever I have left over, because a lot of y'all might know this or not. You're not going to have as much money left over at the end of your check as you think you would. Maybe less than $50 for some people. I know a lot of people does live paycheck to paycheck. That's what we're here to do. We're trying to stop that living to paycheck, so that way you can have a savings built up and have money to invest over time. So the next one for us. And that's what it says, make sure you pay yourself first. So just like when you pay your tithes, give God 10 off the top minimum, you want to give yourself some cash as well. And what you do with that, when you pay yourself, that can go into a lot of things. That can go into your investments, that can go into your emergency funds, or that could just go into a savings account for you. You can hit it one more time for us. And on this little picture right here, it'll show on the left for y'all, it's a typical savings habit. And you have questions? Yeah, you guys questions whenever.
So how much for you said save a percentage of money for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you suggest would be like a certain percentage of your paycheck that you would keep for yourself to go with the investments or emergency funds?
So it would
Like on an average.
it would vary per person. You asked how much to pay yourself.
Like right, like what percentage would you
A lot of people say roughly 10% as well, because that 10% added on with compound interest. You might not get compound interest in your savings account, but if you have, investments, or if you have real estate or something, that money's gonna grow. So it's a 10%. So that we 10% compound interest. By the time you retire, you have a nice little chunk of change. So yeah, like I was saying, usually when people get paid, they'll pay their bills, and then they'll spend some money, and then whatever they have left over, then they'll try to save that. And a lot of people should know that's not really effective unless you're getting paid $10,000 and your bills aren't that much, and you have a lot of cash left over. Then that's not really an effective method. So to pay yourself, first thing is when you get paid, you put money away towards your savings, and then you pay your bills. And then whatever you have left over, that's your spending money. So that way, you're setting yourself up, you got your priorities right, and we'll be looking good.
I got a question.
Question?
Now, when you save for yourself, you said give 10%. Once you give your tithe, and you can give that same 10% to yourself. How do you suggest saving that? I mean, should you just put it in a savings account, a checkings account, a cashier check? Do you just put that 10% somewhere and let it sit? Or is there a way you can invest it where it'll do something? It'll bring you some kind of money. Yeah, with interest, right?
So when you pay yourself first, that 10%, it'll be best to do whatever's best for your financial needs at that time. If you wanted to put it into something just so you can get a little bit of cash into it, and you don't want to have that risk, you can always go to your bank and put like a CD account. And they have ones for like 3 months, 6 months, a year, with like a 3% return rate. It's not a lot, but it's better than the 0.2 whatever you get from your actual savings or checkings account, unless you have a high growth savings, which is probably like 1% or something of the sort. But did I answer your question correctly?
Well, yes.
Yeah. And then right here I have some quotes. If you take control of your finances today, you won't be a victim of them tomorrow. And as well as a budget lets you decide what's worth spending your money on. And this is the emergency fund. So when you're paying yourself, if you don't have an emergency fund, this could be what you're contributing to first. It could be if you don't have an emergency fund, instead of going in, jumping in directly into investing, you can build your emergency fund up. An emergency fund is a stash of money, of course, that is set aside to cover financial surprises life might throw at you. And emergency funds will definitely help keep down the stress, because if something does arise up, you would hate to have to dig into your investment money that you've been working hard to grow to cover a financial crisis. Like, for example, a few months ago, our lights had went out due to an electrical problem on the outside of our house. But we had an emergency fund, so we were able to get that fixed immediately and just have to wait on JEA to come out and do their part. But that's better than me having, because this happened like in the middle of pay week, so I didn't get paid for like another maybe 8 days. And that was better than me having to wait until I get paid to try to pull out money from my paycheck that's going to take away money from maybe another bill or something. The emergency fund helps de-stress stressful situations. Like if there's a death in the family, those monies from that emergency fund can go there instead of coming through your actual paycheck that you need and that you're most likely using majority of it on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. So that's what the emergency fund will definitely help out. A lot of emergency funds, they like it to be roughly 3 months of your bills, mostly your mortgage. So that way if something big does happen, like you lose your job per se, you at least have enough money to cover your mortgage for 3 months. So you'll have a place to stay while you get things readjusted and maybe find a new job or something of the sort. And the easiest thing, I think you was asking me what to put it in. You can put this in a CD account, like I was saying. It's going to give you roughly 3% interest. If you do want to put it in the stock market, there are ETFs like the S&P 500, who has like a 10% annual growth rate. So that's just little things you can put right there.
But let me ask you a question now. We talking about emergency funds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, wouldn't that be wouldn't you be taking a chance in putting your emergency fund in something that'll tie it up for any period of time, because you don't know when an emergency will arise and you'll have to grab that money.
Well, a CD
It will
account,
penalize you, right?
a CD account, you can do a month, I believe,
Yeah.
or like 2 months, or you can just put it in your savings account, so that way it is easily available. So if anything happens, you can just snatch it up right there.
Right.
Another way for an emergency fund, which would be a last resort, would be a credit card if you have it paid off. But you really don't want to put your emergency fund risk on your credit card, because you had to go through that financial emergency and then have to get hit with 18 or 17% interest on trying to pay that off. So yeah, you definitely put it in your normal checking account, savings account, so that way you could at least get $1 or something a year. Yeah,
Don't need a debit card for it. You have to go to the actual bank.
you can. I actually have a joint savings account with me and my wife, and we put it in that savings account so that way there is no debit card for that savings account. Only way we can get something out is if we're transferring it over. And like I said, every month, every time you get paid, just put some money into it, and it grows over time. It grows fast too, and that's without compound interest. That's just you putting money towards it. That emergency fund will grow pretty fast. And right there, just telling you what an emergency is and examples: job loss, death of a family member, car troubles. And it says, if you're living without a safety net, if you're living on the financial edge, hoping to get by without running into a crisis. So if you have no emergency fund, you're really just living on the edge, because if that emergency crisis comes, it could really tip you over into the negative side of the debt income ratio. And this is paying off debt. So how can we put this? Paying off your debt, that's going to be helpful for your investments, because that money that you're putting towards your debts, maybe a car payment or credit card payment, that could be money that you're easily throwing into stock market, or putting into buying a real estate property, or putting into your CD account, or buying bonds. So you want to control your debt and get that under control. There are a couple methods to that. The first one is the Debt Snowball. And that's probably one of the more common ones. And the Debt Snowball effect, right, that's the snowball. That's when you focus on paying off the smallest debt first. You want to, and first, when you're paying off a debt, you don't pay the minimum payment on there. Let's establish that. 'Cause if you do that, whoever you're paying, they're going to get you for at least 2 to 3 times more than what you're supposed to be paying on interest. and you're going to be paying for an substantial amount of time. So you want to pay more than the minimum payment. So whatever your smallest payment is, say if it's like $20 a month, try dumping $50 on it. And that's literally like a payment and a half almost. And watch it drop like that. And then once you pay that one off, whatever that minimum payment was for that, plus whatever extra you was putting on there, you throw that to the next smallest bill. And then you're going to pay that one off. And then once you pay that one off, whatever you use for that first bill, that extra you put on that first bill, and what you're using for that second bill, since that's paid off, you'll put that to your next largest bill. And it's going to create a snowball effect. It's like a snowball rolling down the hill, and it's collecting more snow, and it's getting bigger and bigger. You're going to build up steam like that. It's going to help you knock off a lot of your debts a lot faster like that. So that's the first method.
So can I ask a question now?
Yes, sir.
Now you said if you're paying one bill, the smallest bill, and you paying like $20 a month, you saying take and maybe put $50 instead of the $20, pay it off. But are you saying take the $50 that you was paying on that bill after it's been paid off and add that to the next smallest bill?
Yes.
Not the $20.
Nope.
That was
the entire 50
minimum, because you done paid that off. But stick with the 50.
Because you're already not used to having it, because you're putting that towards that bill. So now that bill's paid off. Hopefully that should bring your credit up, because it might be a credit card bill or some furniture bill or something. So now you take those funds that you were already spending on a monthly basis, and you're just putting that towards another bill. So that way you're not paying minimum payment on that bill. You're cutting interest off, and you're getting that paid a lot quicker. Yes, ma'am.
At my job, with the third bank, when everybody came there, where we did a Zoom, and they had this thing that, for 52 weeks, every week, like the first week, you pay $1. Second week, you pay $2. Third week, you pay $3. And it's a saving. And at the end of the year, you have like almost $2,000 or $3,000 at the end. Is that a good thing to do?
Yeah, I mean, saving is saving. It's gonna add up. Like I said, it's gonna add up. There's
I was thinking about it.
there's no compound interest, but just make sure you don't spend it. That could be your start of your emergency fund. But yeah, you'll definitely have. I think the way you're saying, like literally every paycheck, you're doubling what you initially put in there, right? At first it's $1, then it's $2, then $4. Yeah.
Just every week,
It's one of those weekly
but you don't
budget
get paid off
things
every
that
2 weeks, so every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I don't pay.
I did one last year.
It definitely works. The thing is, what are you doing with those funds after you have it? Are you gonna put it towards an emergency fund or invest it or whatnot? And another little hack, just to save your money if you got a mortgage, bi-weekly payments.
I've heard that.
Do what now?
Bi-weekly payments instead of paying once a month.
Yeah, you know, my brother told me that when he was living in New Orleans, he was a banker. He worked for the federal bank.
It'll equal up to an extra payment at the end of the year.
And he said he was paying every 2 weeks he'll pay half of his payment. And you know, it's time for his payment, pay the other half, half of the
The next way to pay off debt, other than the snowball effect, would be the debt avalanche. And that's when you pay off the debt with the highest interest rate first, while you're paying the minimum payment on the rest of them. And then once you pay off the one with the highest interest rate, then you use those funds to pay off the next bill with the second highest interest rate. And you're taking it off that way. So it's like the opposite of the snowball.
You go to the largest and work backward.
Right.
Back
Now,
to the smallest.
that one, I prefer the snowball method myself. Don't get me wrong, if you do the avalanche, it might be a little bit longer to knock off that initial, that initial one. But once you knock off that initial one, then the rest of them will come a lot faster, I'm pretty sure, because you're throwing a bigger chunk of money towards it. And the last one would be the debt consolidation one. And that's if you have like a lot of outside debt, credit cards, or if you have, I don't know, furniture once again. You can try to get all of them into one card so that way you don't have multiple payments going out, and as well as you paid off some stuff. So if you have stuff on like furniture with Badcock, use your credit card, pay that off. So at least on your credit report, Badcock is showing paid off. Your other credit cards, you do a balance transfer. Those would be zero. And you can try to get some interest rates or a good interest rate on your bank with all of that as well to help. And that'll help you get one payment so that way you don't have multiple, you're not paying multiple people at one time, multiple interest rates. You have one interest rate, one payment, and that just saves some money in your pocket on the monthly too. You got a question, Ma?
Yeah, the bank transfer.
Mm-hmm.
We had Jack's Federal for our car, and the lady was telling me that they do bank transfer. They can put all your cars together. You have one payment. I'm like, okay. How do that work?
So the debt consolidation, if you have a credit card with ViStar, credit card with Costco, credit card with Navy Federal, and just another credit card with somebody else, right? So that's 4 different payments, 4 interest rates. So what they'll do is you want to take everything and put it like the Navy Federal. They'll get the balance from ViStar, and they'll transfer that balance from there, and they'll put it onto your new or your existing card with Navy Federal. So that balance is now taken care of if you transfer the whole balance. And that card can be closed down, or you can just keep it open so that way you have a low usage rate on that credit card. It shows that you're responsible with credit, because now the credit limit might be $10,000, but you're only using like $20 on there. So it kind of shows a little bit of financial responsibility in a sense, low usage rate. Or you can just, like I said, you just close it down. The next card, they'll take that balance, transfer it over to your Navy Federal card. So that card as well is at a zero balance on there. So you can close that out or keep it if you want. So you're really just putting everything onto one card, so that way you don't have multiple bills coming out. Like I said, multiple interest rates. You got that one bill, that one monthly payment, and it might be a little bit larger than some of them, but it won't be larger than all of them put together in their interest rates. So this one, the road to being a millionaire per se, is multiple streams of income. So just some of the streams of income that we have that is available. You have the earned income, which is your job. We have the profit income, which is buying and selling. That's like having a business, like paparazzi, or selling purses like Piggy's Bundles and Ebony's and Aries paparazzi. That's what it's called. E&E accessories. Buying and selling goods. You have investment income, where you invest in like rental properties and they bring you money back. You have dividend incomes, where you like owning stocks that pays you monthly or quarterly or annually. You have your rental incomes, which is actually renting your house out or renting property out. You have your capital gains. So if you're buying a home or buying stocks and they gain value over time. So you have that way. And then you have royalty income, where somebody's using your ideas or your likeness for something for those who have the creative mindset, who can do something like that. You have the royalties. Click one more time. Now on this side, there are some other ideas just for a passive income. You know, you have your rental property. You can create a website, create apps, create a YouTube channel. I created me a YouTube channel. It's just starting up, just by my financial journey, and starting my account really from the bottom and getting it to as high as I can. I hope I can inspire some people to start investing, because there's money to be made. As you've seen these last weeks, GameStop has made some millionaires. AMC is gonna make some, hopefully. But there's money to be made out here. You can put advertisements on your car. It's a lot of free cash. You can start an alarm service business where you just charge people $20 a month. You'll call them at 7 o'clock in the morning. You can go to the next one. All right, so and also take advantage of your 401k at your job. If your job does match, like usually it's up to 6%, that's literally free money they're giving you to your retirement. So definitely take advantage of that. Life insurance, that's definitely another good investment. I'm not 100% sure how it works. I do have somebody who does do that, so if you want to get into that, I can give you the information. Yes, they sell life insurance. I won't have a class, but if I can get them to come down here, I'll definitely see if they can be a part of the class. But what I know of it, life insurance, I believe, is you buy the life insurance. If you do pass on, then your family is financially paid. And if you do live through that extended time frame, then I do believe they pay you back what you paid, plus interest.
They had a man on TV saying that colonial hand. No, it's not colonial. It's another. It's another from 52 to 80. I think that if you apply insurance and pay on insurance and you get past whatever time it's supposed to, that you get all your money back.
Yeah.
And if you, your family died, whatever you see, you want $10,000, your family will get $10,000 if you die.
Oh no, they get plans where you get like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what they say. That's it.
And
I heard it, and I'm saying, I want to see the pretty people.
No, it's probably real. And the sooner you start investing, really the less money you have to put into it. For example, if you wanted to save for your retirement and you want to get to $100,000 by the age of 65, if you're only 25 years old, it's just $7.14 a week at an 8% return. You said how much what? You're gonna be around like $200 a week if you're over the age of 55. But it's possible though.
So where do we put this money in?
That would be somewhere that's having an 8% return on that money. The S&P 500, they have a, well, the S&P 500, they have an annual return of 10%. The S&P 500. It's like with the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones. It's one of the smaller ones with high growth companies like Tesla and Apple's a part of it that carries it. So they have an annual return around 10%. The last couple years, Apple's had a return of like 500%. Tesla's got a couple 1,000%.
So how do you invest in those? I mean, how do you get started in something like that?
I mean,
Well, I don't want to get dumped in here.
No, I definitely talk about a little bit. So to get started and stuff like that, you go get a broker. If you don't want to trade it yourself, you can go get a broker and you'll give them your money and let them trade for you, and just trusting them. Tell you want to be passive, you want to be aggressive or whatnot. It's all up to you and your risk.
What did you suggest?
I suggest doing it myself.
I know that's right. You can't get paid no matter.
Yeah, I like to see where my money's going.
I can trust myself.
Yeah, I don't want to give you money and I have to get in contact with you and they're like, oh, our office is closed. When I can just go on my phone and look myself and see, okay, this is good, this is good. But the thing with doing it yourself is you are going against people who went to college for this, universities, you're going to big institutions like that. So that's why it's important that you kind of learn exactly what you're doing, so you're not making it, it's not like a gamble. Because you don't know what you're doing and you're just putting money into the stock market. That's like you going to the corner store and buying a lottery ticket and you hope that you win. But once you do the research and actually know what you're looking at, then it's not really a gamble. It's more of an educated hypothesis. So then you can study charts at that point, and I'll get into that in the next class a lot more in detail. But you can do it with Robinhood, Webull, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade. It's a lot of brokers. You can go to Interactive Brokers. Yep.
Are you trading yet? It's time to get in the game.